Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody's doing very well. This is Travis Witherspoon. This is another live trading episode of Trade with Travis. I have August 2nd. We are in the second month, or we're in the second day of August when it comes down to trading. Hopefully, you end up having a very good first day. Market was kind of quiet yesterday. We may see that the market may end up being quiet today. Who knows? Before we end up having a lot of stuff that may end up coming out. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer. And then after that, we'll go ahead and talk about some overall pairs that we are looking at, some pairs that we end up taking a look at on Sunday, and see if there's any other opportunities when it comes down to the market. So I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that Forex trading or trading in general involves risk, of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you end up making money today. So with that being said, as we go through and end up taking a look at overall trading opportunities and everything goes, we always take a look at what's happening with the economic calendar. Today, we're going to end up having interest rate decisions. Our interest rate decisions have already came out for the Australian dollar. They end up keeping it as the previous was 1.35. They end up bringing it up 50 basis points up to 1.85. They end up having an interest rate statement. They end up happening a little bit earlier today as well. A little bit later on today, you're going to end up seeing the New Zealand dollar come out with the unemployment rate. And President Biden's going to end up speaking at 7:30 p.m. So remember, just like with Jerome Powell, when anybody speaks, when Jerome Powell speaks, or when the president speaks, the market's going to end up moving. Typically, that's around the time that I have my systems off. So I'm probably not going to be affected by that overall move unless there's a trade that I'm already in. But I am going to be interested to be able to see what he's going to have to be, what he's going to end up saying. Going into Wednesday, we're not going to have that much either, aside from retail sales from the Eurozone and ISM services PMI from the United States dollar. So I think everything is kind of getting prepared for what's going to end up happening on Thursday and on Friday. So uh, I would expect that the market's still going to end up being slow overall if we take a look at what's happening with that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into some of the pairs that we end up taking a look at previously. I want to start off with uh, the first one, which was U.S. Japanese yen. We end up getting into U.S. Japanese yen based off a pending sale of 132 with a stop loss of 132.50, and then after that, take profit level at 132. I mean, 130.80. Quite frankly, that ended up going down. That ended up hitting 130.80. Took profit. Then after that, pushed up and then went from there. If you end up taking that trade, congratulations to you. You end up making money off of that. That was the first trade that we ended up talking about at the beginning of the day. That was actually given to us by one of the people that was actually looking live. And end up talking about it. We end up basically placing a game plan and putting everything into place to be able to make money off of that. So if you end up making a move off of that, congratulations, that has been fulfilled. In all transparency, I didn't get all of this one. I ended up getting some of it, and then after that, I kind of left it alone. Particularly, I don't necessarily trade forex pairs as much anymore, but it was good to be able to see that people end up making money off of this movement. It ended up doing exactly what it was supposed to do. Came up, counter trend line break, broke into a low volume node, fell down very rapidly, cashed everybody out, and then after that, moved forward from there. So US yen, we are done with US yen when it comes down to a trade. So I'm going to close off on that one. There's no reason to take a look at that one anymore. So we're done with US yen. Another one that we ended up taking a look at was pound yen. Pound yen was in consolidation, or still is in consolidation. It has shown the propensity to be able to drop all the way down to this support level. Uh, End up showing that it had a propensity to drop down into this overall level. If you did not get into this trade as of yet, you do have an opportunity to possibly end up taking a look at that trade. We just got started. We got placed in at 160.30 with a stop loss of, I think it was 161.30, going after a take profit of 157.16. So depending on how this trade actually keeps on playing out, I would say keep on looking at that when you may end up having a move when it comes down to that. The one thing that I do not like is that taking a look at this from a hour perspective, I'm starting to see that the market is starting to U-turn a little bit. But the best thing about it is that it is getting somewhat close to the sell zone, so that may end up being a breakout in the retest type of phase before actually being able to make a move. Or I missed the move, awesome trade, yo. Thank you. But I end up basically putting the game plan together, but I actually end up getting that from somebody that was actually watching this live. So we put the game plan together, but I'm glad that everybody ended up making money off of that trade. They end up watching it live or end up taking a look at it on my ideas page. So um, uh, anytime that we end up doing anything on this page, is for everyone to be able to make money, not just me. Uh, so uh, hopefully, with this one that we're looking at right here with pound yen, you may end up getting an opportunity to be able to get back into it or be able to get into it when it comes down to this trade. You have not got into it as of yet. What I would do is I wait for 15 minutes to be able to break the counter trend line break, and then after that, see if there's any type of trade to be able to get in based off of that movement. I will look at wait for the counter trend line break. It may end up being a retest. If it does fall, then you have an opportunity to be able to trade it from there. If you have not got in as of yet, uh, wait for the counter trend line break. It'll give you a little bit more confirmation. For the people that are watching live, my only thing that I end up asking anyone for the people that are watching live is that I'm big on engagement. I'm big on communication, but I'm big on ideas. I want everybody to be able to make money together. So if you are live, please take a look at a trading pair that you are interested in being given a trade and place it inside of the chat box. We'll talk about it, and if there's a trading opportunity, we will sit up there and get a game plan from it. So for the people that are watching live, that's the only thing that I ever ask for. Take a look at take a look at your charts. Take a look at what you end up trading, whether it's stocks, cryptocurrency, anything else like that. If there's a trading opportunity, I want to at least be able to take a look at it. So place it inside of the chat box. We go ahead and take a look at it, and then after that, we end up going from there. But um, we just closed out on US yen. Literally just closed out on US yen. Um, I'll show you that. I'll show you what we end up doing for that game plan. But we literally just closed out on that trade. Hold on. Let's see. So we end up taking a pending sales stop at 132, end up getting out at 130, end up pushing down, end up going from there. This trade is somewhat over with for right now, um, but we'll come back and take a look at that one a little bit later. Take a look at silver. Okay, we'll take a look at that one. See what's going on with silver. Let me take a look and see what's going on with gold as well. And be able to go from there. I will take a look at the index pairs later because obviously you know that opens up at 9, so at 9:30. So there's really no push to be able to jump into those yet. Uh, now, when you're looking at silver, answer this question: Are you looking at being able to buy? Or are you looking at being able to sell? Are you personally looking at buying, or are you personally looking at selling? Why? Okay, cool. So um, I'm going to talk about it from my perspective. Then after that, well, I can only talk about it from my perspective, and then after that, I will kind of give reasons why I would do what I would do from this overall standpoint. So silver, silver at this particular point end up going through consolidation, end up breaking out to the downside. Right now, currently, it's in a R3 movement, meaning that it's in a one-sided push area. For me, anytime that I end up saying a R3 zone or R3 type of movement, then that means that as long as the market is below the overall B, going up to the D extension, which will end up being the 1.618 at this particular point, that means to me I will only personally look at sell trades because the market has proven that the market is ready to be able to move to the downside. So me personally, I would personally only look at down trades to the downside. Now we have this strong bullish engulfing candlestick that ended up covering up about 4 days, and obviously we're seeing a retest of that overall movement from a weekly standpoint. From a weekly standpoint, this market is in the sell zone, but we end up having this large movement last week to where it's kind of, oh, wait, this week, well, actually last week, where the market's kind of going against what we're actually looking at that particular point. So for me, if I'm looking at being able to do this, I could see you making a case for us being able to buy, but that case would have been made about 2 or 3 days ago when it comes down to this movement. Even though the dailies in the buy zone, we don't have time frame alignment, meaning that the weekly, in my case, I still think that the weekly is overall bearish, but the daily is moving bullish. So for me, when both of them are not moving in the same direction, I don't even consider taking that trade. So for me personally, I would not personally do anything on gold. There's better opportunities when it comes down to being able to trade on the chart. What there's better opportunities to be able to get in that have time frame alignment compared to what I'm looking at with silver. Hopefully, that ends up answering your question. Everybody else online, once again, for the people that are online, if you're going to end up watching this live stream, once again, thank you for being able to pop in. My only thing that I end up asking for when you end up popping into my live sessions is that you have to come with a trading pair that you want me to be able to take a look at, or a trading or something that you're already in, or some type of trading idea, so we can be able to take a look at it together. So if you are watching live, that's my only thing that I end up asking for. Please make sure that you end up placing inside of that chat box a trading pair, so we can be able to possibly be able to take a look at it. If there's some money to be made off of it, I would like everybody in the live stream to be able to make money off of it, kind of like what happened with USGN yesterday, and what we end up doing with Nas and everything else like that. US CAD, let's take a look at that. Let's go through the big three while we're doing that. We take a look at the big three. I can kind of answer the question about US CAD as we end up going from there. You're not familiar with the big three. The big three is the United States dollar index. We end up taking a look at gold. We end up taking a look at silver. The reason why we end up taking a look at those because you look at the United States dollar index, it has a huge correlation with the United States dollar pairs. Obviously, you end up taking a look at oil. Oil has a huge correlation with the Canadian dollar. You take a look at gold. Gold has a correlation with the Japanese yen and Australian dollar, and it has a crossover with the United States dollar, obviously. So, United States dollar index. Take a look at this from a weekly perspective. The market is considered to be bullish, but it's done broke below the big. At this particular point, it looks like it's starting to be able to retrace based off of that 80-20 rule that we ended up talking about yesterday. Currently, right now, the market is falling currently at this particular point, but long term, the market has been bullish. Currently, I would say that the market is bearish just from the overall look of it. CAD yen, we'll take a look at that as well. We take a look at what's happening with the daily. We can see that the daily is in the buy zone when it comes down to this movement. And if I end up making another trend line, which will end up being our inner trend line at this particular point, we can see that this market is kind of gravitating towards that inner trend line movement before actually being able to make a move. It is in the buy zone. If I'm looking at being able to make any type of movement off of it, it would be looking to be able to buy. The market has fell down about 11 candlesticks, which is kind of a 14 candlesticks, which is kind of not active, but it matches up with what you end up seeing with stochastics. Typically with stochastics, you'll see the market go 7 to 11 days from one zone to another. So from the sell zone to the buy zone, it'll typically be 7 to 11 days. Or from the buy zone, it'll be 7 to 11 days coming from that, or 7 to 11 candles. So it wouldn't be surprising to me that the United States dollar may end up having a big push to the upside at some point. I would say take a look at the 2 hour and see what the movement's going to end up being. But until it actually ends up breaking the counter trend line, break up to the upside, then I would not make a move off of that one either, at least not yet. So United States dollar index pay or United States dollar pairs in general, I would wait. I would kind of wait to see what happens with what Biden ends up saying a little bit later on today. So I probably will be out of U.S. dollar pairs until 7:30 today to see what happens with Biden. Now, we'll tie it into oil, and then after that, I tied it in with the U.S. CAD because obviously that's the ultimate question. But I'm going to show you all three because I want to prove a point real quick. Take a look at what's happening with oil. Oil has retraced and then fell back to another natural support right around $89 a barrel. Currently, right now, this is in consolidation, and because it's in consolidation, there's really no trade to be able to take. So oil, I'm not interested in being able to do anything at this particular point, but it is at a support. So that would be something to be able to pay attention to overall because the market is at a support. It may end up being one for the people that like to be able to trade consolidation and actually be able to look at buying at support. That may end up being an opportunity to be able to get into overall. So it wouldn't surprise me if oil ends up making some type of a push to the upside just because it is that support. Now, the reason why stop that. The reason why I brought that up, if you take a look at what the United States dollar index is doing, it's still kind of sideways. It has an opportunity to be able to push up. Take a look at what's happening with oil. Oil is sideways because it is in consolidation, but it has an opportunity to push up as well. Both of them are not in a position to where they've actually proven themselves to be able to make a move. So what that means to me when I look at the United States, when I look at US CAD, it's probably going to be sideways. I haven't looked at US CAD in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be sideways in some type of direction. So let's see, maybe I'm pretty sure I may end up being somewhat right on this one. Let's see, clear this chart. Yeah, we have a little bit of a downside movement. Weekly. What's going on, big man? I don't know if y'all can see it, but I have my son is like literally right behind me. Uh-oh. Start from right here. All right, so from a weekly perspective, the D extension that's expected to be a hit at 133. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. The market is above the B, so it's in a one-sided. So it's in a one-sided push zone. Uh, so it's in a R3 zone. As long as it stays above the B, then that means that the one-sided move that I would say will probably end up being buying at this particular point. I am seeing a little bit of a channel that is going to the upside, which is basically that consolidated sideways movement. It's in the middle of that consolidated area. So for me personally, I would not make a move off of this one. Just like in any type of consolidation, that's a 33% area. And because it is a 33% area, it's not a great trade to be able to take. So US CAD, I wouldn't do anything with. Uh, uh, what's going on, Bone? What's going on, Bone? Glad to see you back in. Juan, hopefully that answered your question. No, don't type. We end up going from there. Let's go ahead and take a look at CAD yen real quick. Stop that. Let's see. CAD yen. The Japanese yen has started to get a little bit stronger, and I don't think it's because of it's just getting stronger. I just think it's because the market has to retrace a little bit. So that's the reason why I thought that US yen was going to end up being a very good trade. You take a look at what ended up happening with gold. Gold was a very good trade, or gold showed some signs of being able to have a good trade just because of that. Stop pulling my hair, son. Um, we take a look at what's happening with Canadian yen. Um, The market ended up making a 80-20 type of retracement right around the 127. Typically, when that happens, the market typically falls down to the B or falls down all the way to the 382. So I am going to consider this to be bearish, even though it is above the B. I mean, even though it is in an R3 zone. Because it is in an R3 zone, I would say that the long-term move would be buying, but because I've seen that it has rejected off. If I'm looking at anything, it'll probably end up being a sell, but it will probably have to be some type of a scalp. And because I'm looking at what's happening with the daily, the move has already done happen. Canadian yen, I would personally not do anything with at this particular point either. Um, Once again, there are better payers to be able to take opportunities from. And if we would have took a trade off of this one, it would have had to been, it probably would have been about 3 or 4 days ago when it was a pure counter trend line break that ended up happening based off of that movement. So CAD yen, I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything with either. It has to have some type of retracement bone before anything happens with that. Okay. There we go. Any other pairs that y'all would like to be able to take a look at before we go ahead and get into index pairs real quick? How about this? Say hey. Say hey.
Hey.
Say how you doing?
Hey, good. Dad, I'm just behind you.
Yep, you're behind me. Let's see. let's start off with US 30. Let's see what's happening with US 30. Then after that, we'll go Nas, and then after that we'll go German 40, and then after that, if there's no other trading pairs for the people that are watching, live, then after that we'll close out. So US 30, been mapping this out. Obviously, we ended up making money off of this last week, based off of this big movement that we ended up having. Go ahead. CAD yen haven't entered any trade. Yeah, good. We just talked about that, Bone. I wouldn't enter any trade on that one either, at least not right now. And quite frankly, I wouldn't enter any trade that is US dollar based at this particular point until what happens a little bit later on today with what Biden's probably going to end up saying. I think that he'll probably make the market move just a little bit more, just based off of that. Obviously, it is 8:30, so the market may end up moving just because it's the open of the forex market. But I don't see anything, at least from the charts perspective, that would have me excited to be able to take any type of trade. At least not yet. So we end up making money based off of this movement last week. Get out. So currently, what's happening? We had consolidation broke down, but it broke down into another consolidation spot that makes US 30 kind of untradeable at this particular time. And currently, right now, if we take a look at what ended up happening previously, based off of from May 27th all the way until June 10th. What's going on, Casey? There is basically still a block of trading area that has to be broken out of before being able to make that trade. So for the people that end up watching us on Sunday, we end up saying, hey, we will not take a trade until the market ends up breaking past 33,305 with a stop loss of 33,140 and a take profit of 34,310. That still remains to be the same. I'm not taking a trade until the market ends up breaking past the overall highs of this previous consolidation and basically start to push up to this consolidation point right there. So until then, there's really no trade to be able to take on US 30. So US 30, I'm just waiting to be able to see what's going on with that. Take a look at German 40. German 40 is basically showing the same thing. It ended up having a consolidation, broke down into another consolidation box. If we end up extending this out, literally it fell back into the supports of that overall spot, which is starting to make this a larger consolidation area from this overall area, which matches up with what we end up seeing back in June 13th all the way until obviously the early portion of July. So this makes this a harder trade to be able to take a look at from a seller's perspective. I will not look at selling. I will only look at buying. Our buy trade that we end up taking a look at, if it does break, we end up being a buy stop at 13,550 with a stop loss of 13,450 with a take profit of 13,840 for take profit 1 and 13,940 for take profit 2. So I have those trades placed in. I'm just waiting on those trades to be able to trigger in. I would not look at selling. I would not place in any sales on those positions because that would be inside of a high volume node. And as y'all know, I do not trade inside of high volume nodes. I trade low volume nodes. So there's really no trade to be able to take. I'm going to leave this on the screen real quick for someone if you was not here the last few days that we end up doing it. And if you want to be able to have that as a order that you would like to be able to place in. I'm going to leave that up for another 10 seconds. Okay, good. Last one, let's take a look at NAS 100. NAS 100, my automation system placed me into a sell trade, and I'm probably going to end up canceling it because of the same reason. We are in a consolidation box right here. The market tried to break out, but it did not break out into the areas where our pending orders actually are. I hope that this market kind of falls down into this overall area. It falls down to the natural support at 12,720. But if you take a look at what's happening from this position, you take a look at this overall trade, and I zoom out, we're basically inside of this consolidation zone from when the market ended up hitting back in May 27th from June 10th. So until this market actually ends up breaking out to the upside, there's really no trade to be able to take. Remember, we are in the summer months, so just like what ended up happening in June, what ended up happening with July, August, September, and then October. The early portion of October. October typically is when the market really starts trending again. But we have to pick our spots. In picking our spots, this is not one of those trades that I'll be interested in and being able to spend a lot of money on that position. Just because of where it actually is. I don't. Once again, I'm not interested in trading that consolidated level. I want to trade the breakout of that level. So, pending orders on this overall trade, in which I had it written down somewhere. It should be somewhere on here. Okay. Then I just go ahead and write it up real quick. As a matter of fact, let me look at my chart and I'll tell you. Leave that alone, baby. Pending orders on NAS 100 is at. I'll be looking at buy stops. My system is reading a lot of stuff on here. Okay, 13,140 with a stop loss of 12. Leave that alone. With 12,975 and a take profit of 13,850. And then after that, there's another one that's at 12,335 with a stop loss of 13,160 and a take profit of 13,560. Leave that alone. That's somebody else's computer. So I'm going to write that down real quick so people can be able to take a look at that. Obviously, if you want to place in that pending order, then you can.
Dad.
And we end up going from there.
Dad.
Go get Miles.
I need that.
Huh?
I need that.
No, that's somebody else's.
No, it's my phone.
Let's see. Uh, 13,140 stop loss. Casey, we cashed out on US yen. We ended up making money off of that one. We are in the middle of the trade of pound yen. I don't think we made a trade off of Australian yen. I'm almost for certain that we didn't make a trade off of Australian yen. But the yen pairs are moving. Well, yen strength is starting to happen. But I think that's more of a retracement move off of those pairs, if I'm being very honest. So would not surprise me. Would not surprise me based off of that movement. But if it keeps on going down based off of that movement. But the yen pairs have shown a little bit of strength, at least at the beginning of this week. Stop loss 12,975. Take profit. I got 13,850. All right, so that is the order for this trade right here. I'm going to leave that one up, and I'll place the other one as an idea as we go through. My son is rambling around a little bit too much now, and I can hear my youngest, my oldest son just wake up as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go because I'm getting beat up by my son. Everyone, if you like what we end up doing, click on that boost button. Make sure that everybody can be able to see this video and everything else like that. Hopefully, everybody ends up having a very good trading day as we end up going through and taking a look at other opportunities. I will be online again probably a little bit later on tonight. We may end up having an opportunity to be able to trade depending on what happens. Like always, plan your trade your plan. Everyone, I'll see y'all again tomorrow morning. All right, take it easy.